Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
All right, I had to change some stuff around because my table was too low.
that's okay. It's better than my last video where Chad said it looked like I was negotiating for hostages, where I had my mattress up against the wall. That's like my default because I'm in my living room now and I've got like light coming in, like natural light. It's a really bright day, so it looks good. But like I was gonna record with him, and then all of a sudden, like 15-20 minutes before I went live with him, then the clouds came in, and I was like, no, I just like ran
That's
and moved some stuff.
kind of what happened with when I recorded without your head. The sun went down as he starts and the sun just disappears. And I was like, all right, that's a thing. Because I have lighting equipment, but it's going to take me like an hour and a half to set it up. So we're not doing that.
Yeah, I do too, sort of. Just kidding.
No, I have like proper studio
Oh, like a
lighting
kit?
equipment.
Oh, okay.
But
All right, well, let me introduce you off the top here. So welcome to Make Your Own Fun. I'm here with Emilie Black, and she is a horror photographer and a film reviewer and a self-described agent of chaos. So welcome to this show. And I guess just right off the bat, well, what got you interested in the horror? I guess initially, like, was it like a book or a story or a movie? Do you remember from like when you were little? Like, because people do like when they're a teenager, they kind of get
yeah,
sucked into these things.
it's hard to explain
Okay,
because it's
I've
been
got
that
time
long.
and coffee, so you're good.
It's like Ghostbusters.
Okay.
It came out, I was 4. So by the time I was 5, I really, really, really wanted to see it. Uh, and then there was this standee of Freddy Krueger at the video store that scared the bejesuses out of me, but I still wanted to know who he was.
Oh, that movie gave me nightmares too. The first Nightmare on Elm Street, especially like I never had a waterbed, but the scene where Johnny Depp just gets sucked into the bed and then his blood just squirts up into the ceiling.
Yeah, I was definitely too young to watch that when I did.
Oh, Ghostbusters
So,
was so classic because it's like I think it's one of the best examples of horror and comedy.
well, the first one is not as comedic. The
It's a
the
little
comedy
darker.
comes in at the second one and the third one, and then it gets more and more and more and more.
But I did enjoy Afterlife, the newest one. I thought that
Oh,
was
Ghostbusters? Sorry, I thought you were talking about Freddy Krueger and
oh
Nightmare.
yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife I thought was the best since the first one. In the sense that it's got a real strong horror and they go into more of the science too, which I thought was important. And I'm excited that they're going to do a fourth one and they're going to bring it back to New York. And
Yeah.
Jason Reitman is his dad started all of that. So I think he's the right guy to do that. I don't know if you're going to see a lot of those legacy characters. Maybe though.
There's just one they didn't bring in the last one in Afterlife, and they need to fix that because it would have been really, really, really easy to just drop his name and move on.
Well, Rick Moranis, I don't know. It's like I think he's retired from acting. I don't know.
No, he said recently he's have a label.
Well, that would make sense because his character is based in New York. There'd be no reason for him to go to Iowa. So
yeah,
for him to be in New York makes sense. Plus, when you're watching the movie, and you think about the movie poster for Afterlife, you're going, well, Sigourney Weaver's name is on the poster, and it wasn't until the post-credit scene you're like, okay, got it really in there under the wire at the very end.
He could have been like just walking in the background at the office of Zedmore, or just named by him. Like when he said he started this business with one employee. Like, come on.
That's yeah. I mean, well, definitely if it's set in New York. Well, that's the thing though, because the way that they left it with Afterlife, I kind of feel like Winston wants to franchise. It's a different city, which is what I thought they would do for the next one. But it sounds like, well, maybe they just going to go to New York and maybe it'll be a proper training, passing the torch. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of Bill Murray. You probably get a lot of Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy. I don't know if you even want Peter Venkman to be training kids and teenagers how to use it. No, you want Dan Aykroyd. But I was really happy with that. But with A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one is so potent. It's so original, so scary that the ones they did after, I was like, nah. Like kind of what you were saying, they got a little bit cheesier, a little bit goofier.
They're fun, but they don't keep the tone. And then it gets really good with New Nightmare,
That's true. That's true. I
which
would
was
even
just,
go as I would even go as far as to say that in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, you're rooting for Nancy, you're rooting for the kids, you're rooting for, oh my God, how are they going to get out of this, and how are they going to pull a fast one on Freddy? And then by like the fifth or sixth one, you're just rooting for Freddy Krueger to come in and say a one-liner and kill some people.
it's kind of typical slasher fashion. Because like if you look at the Friday the 13th film, like you're rooting for Jason. Come on.
Yeah, especially after the first one, after you find out it was the mom. But I feel like a missed opportunity was, they did the Jason versus Freddy. If they would have done Jason versus Freddy versus Ash from Evil Dead. No, you don't think?
No.
I mean, it would have been cheesy, but I mean, any excuse to see Bruce Campbell in anything, really.
Yeah, but that might not be the thing. I actually wrote a video for the series Show Me the Sequel, which was Freddy versus Jason 2. And I decided to not go with Army of Darkness or Evil Dead as the extra one brought in. And go watch it. I brought in Charlie Brewster.
Okay.
Because he could logically be a hunter as an adult. So it made some sense to me. Just weird.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
get more
there's
Charlie
so many
Brewster in
ways
the
it
world.
can go. Yeah, I don't know at this point about them doing another Friday the 13th, because after a while it's like, okay, well, you're gonna do a reboot or whatever. But even with like Evil Dead, I'm so glad that Sam Raimi convinced Bruce Campbell to come back and do the TV show. They did 3 seasons, and they have to move on, because when I saw him in Doctor Strange, even that little cameo, I was like, Bruce is looking really old. I mean, he's got to be in his 60s.
He's looking great.
Yeah, but not like compared to the Evil Dead days where it's like,
Yeah,
he got so known and became so synonymous with the physical comedy, the physical abuse that they put him through in those movies. It's like, I don't know if I want to see an old man get hit with fake tree branches. And I love Bruce Campbell. I mean, everything, like from Xena and all the other stuff he's done, he's been great. But it's better, I think, if they were to do another one, that he would be kind of like the mentor character.
yeah, if he comes back.
I mean, he can still have his little goofy, cheesy one-liners because that's what he's known for. But so to segue from that, because I'm kind of fascinated, like, how did that interest and that love for that genre just work its way into photography?
Well, started doing photography in high school, mostly for fun, and concert photography. So that doesn't sound like a logical connection, but living in Montreal at the time, there's film festivals by the ton, and music festivals. In the summer, they're all overlapping. It's complete insanity. Because it's like Montreal wakes up in June. Like everything starts happening. But so I did a lot of concert photography, and then I started doing film reviews for a German website that no longer exists. And then I started doing convention coverage. So worked for the Horror Channel, Dread Central, Idle Hands, like all kinds of websites that sent me to conventions. So with that, I started knowing all of the people from the convention circuit. And it was like, why not start to do some photography with them? So the first one that said yes was Nick Principe from the Chrome Skull series.
Okay.
And I dressed him as a big bad wolf in the dangerous woods of Balboa Park in San Diego. And that was like the first big one with a named person. The first actual photo shoot that was a horror shoot was with my best friend, because who else am I gonna put in a werewolf?
You're like, look, do this and I'll buy you a sandwich and a beer.
It was more like we did a photo shoot for one of his projects, and then he was like, I'll do whatever you want. And I was like, you're gonna regret that.
Yeah, careful what you wish for.
I was like, be careful with that. Yeah. So the first shoot we did together was not for that. It was for an art show, and I dressed him up as Santa the Barbarian. That was that. Looking at them now, it's like, oh, our skills were not there, but we still did that. And then I did him as him and Miguel Rodriguez of Horrible Imaginings dressed up as brother werewolves, like post transformation, because when you have no budget, a full werewolf outfit is not a thing. We had contact lenses and lighting equipment in the park at 10 at night and a gallon of fake blood. And that just started from there. Like now every year I do 12 to 14 photo shoots a year, and it becomes a calendar, comes out in the fall every year. I've had like cover people that are all horror industry folks. So the first year was Nick, the second year was Tiffany Shepis. The third year, I went outside of the horror genre with an action actress who actually wants to do horror, Cynthia Rothrock, kind of a goddess when you're a kid of the 90s, like, let's be honest. And then we had Eileen Dietz for the 2022, and this year I still don't know.
Well, there's plenty of time. Yeah, you have plenty of time. So what's the process like? Are you kind of casting like just a wide net to talk to people about photography, or now that you've kind of built up a reputation, they're more coming to you?
It depends. Like some folks will come to me, some folks I will go to. A lot of it, the last 2 years has been harder because of the pandemic, because normally what I do is, because they recognize me, but they don't necessarily know my name from doing like 20 years of convention coverage for websites. So it's easier for me to just approach them at conventions, like, hi, how you doing? And then we start talking, and I handed a copy of a previous year of the calendar so they know that it's not like everybody's a photographer, right?
Everybody like grabs their
mine of
like smile. Yeah.
I've got like settings, lighting, effects, wardrobe. Like we're not kidding. Like it's a production. It's a low budget production, but it's a production. So I approach them at conventions, show them what I do, and then I ask them if they're if they'd be interested. You know, worst is gonna happen is you get a no. I've had some no's.
Oh yeah, I mean it happens all the time.
Generally speaking, I get, hey, message me like at next week, or message me whenever. Like they know their schedule, so they know when to be available, and we work from there. I make my schedule work for their schedule because they're way busier than I am most of the time. And then we shoot at all these exotic locations like Balboa Park, or the trails in Burbank, or the parking lot of our warehouse. We find all of these cheap to free locations and shoot in them. And then, yeah, and then there's like all the people that I've made connections through doing stuff like interviews for Women in Horror Month. I'm able to pull from those people as well. And then we shoot all around the place, drive to places far away, like Thousand Oaks, and do our
the land of Thousand Oaks, California.
Well, you'd be surprised how many actors live in Thousand Oaks.
Oh, I know. I used to live up in LA, so I know that whole area. That a lot of actors are prevalent there, also in Burbank, closer to the studios and stuff. But
yeah,
one thing I was going to say is that which I find inspiring about kind of what you were saying, just about creativity in general, and also filmmaking, and obviously photography is not only an offshoot, but when it comes to filmmaking, especially continuity photography is extremely important. But all of the arts, I feel, especially since I moved to LA, I'm originally from Ohio. I've been out here, on and off for about 20 years, but I'm more, when I work with people, I'm more interested about their enthusiasm, and also the dedication, the loyalty, and you'll know this too from people maybe you've worked with more than once, is that when you have worked with someone, you get a feel for them, you have a conversation, and then you're talking about working with them, or you just want to use them as like a referral to get more business. It all comes down to like, can I get along with this person? Can I tolerate them? Are they fun to be around? Because we've all done projects where sometimes, and this, sometimes it's just a really long day and it's arduous and you're out there, like you were saying, dealing with the elements, dealing with the heat, dealing with rain sometimes, dealing with animals, dealing with swarms of people in a park that you can't control what's going on at a, another picnic table or something. But it's just, if you get along with that person, it's so rewarding because the friendship comes out of it, and it's just more natural. It's laid back. It doesn't feel like work, So yeah, I wanted to speak on that a little bit, and I also wanted to also talk about the film reviewing thing. I thought about getting that into that as well, but the hardest part for me isn't the actual sitting down and writing it or watching it. It's the timing, because so many reviews now, because everything is just internet based, is they come out before the movie comes out to the general public. So unless you're in a union or you get a screener or you're part of the press or you get invited to a screening or something, then by the time I would go, if I went to like a midnight screening on a Thursday or Friday and then went straight home and typed up, this is me typing, typed up what I thought, it's too late. It's already, you've been scooped,
Yeah, they send the PR people. You have to end up on press lists, and I'm on a lot of them. Of course, like having written for folks like Dread Central definitely didn't hurt.
Right.
And now Cinema Crazed has their own bunch of contacts, and I have my own at this point because I've covered a lot of film festivals. Film festivals are really, really important to get you started because a lot of the films there aren't distributed yet, so you get them really, really early. Even if you have to physically go to the festival, you get to review them much earlier than most people. And then as soon as you get approved for press for the big festivals, not necessarily the smaller fest, because the smaller fest will send you their own screeners, or you'll have to go to the festival yourself. But once you're able to get into a few festivals as a reviewer, you start getting PR emails. And trust me, those are just like, you think it's a little? No, it's like 40 a day. 40 different films a day that sends you an email. So it's like, oh, okay. So you go like this one, not that one. That one, our readers are not going to read the review, so we're not going to review that. Like you have to know what your readers are going to read. For us at Cinema Craze, we kind of avoid the bigger titles.
Well, you already know that that's going to be covered by mass media anyway.
Yeah.
If something's got like $100 million budget, or even like half that budget, something like Scream, even though that's not a big summer action movie, Scream has a huge budget, famous actors in it. It's going to be covered by all the major outlets. Scream doesn't need you or I to promote that movie in any way. It's going to be a hit movie, even if it's not one of the better ones of the franchise. That the name alone, people think, oh, and they see the billboard, oh, I should go see that this weekend. It doesn't need our help,
I used to do mostly film festival stuff, so a lot of international films, a lot of films that are harder to find, a lot of films that you find them now because of streaming. They're everywhere. Eventually, it might take a year and a half. Like there's a film that I really liked last summer, Glass House, that came to me through Fantasia Film Festival. And I just got the PR last week for the release next month. So it took it's gonna have taken 13 months between festival and release. But it's like, I've already reviewed that because we do festivals. So festivals are like a really good one. And for us, numbers wise, because we have to take numbers, unfortunately, we do. And numbers wise, film festivals are always a spike in numbers. We get a lot more readers during film festivals because we do a ridiculous number of reviews during Fantasia, Fright Fest, and Scream Fest mainly. And then there's all the smaller film festivals throughout the year. I do a lot of non-genre film festivals as well. So, and I don't discriminate on films. Like no budget is too small, no budget is too big, although we don't really do the big budgets anymore because you're just one review amongst hundreds and hundreds. And on the smaller budgets, when I go add my review to Rotten Tomatoes, sometimes there's like 3 other people like, hey, like, hey, we watched it. But yeah, we get that. And also another way to get your name out is when you start getting quoted on trailers and on DVD and Blu-ray covers, and because then people find you on those because they buy the film. They're like, wait, okay, like, I love this, and that's what I do. And she liked it in a review, so I'm gonna send her my movie. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I get
I would
that
think
way too.
I would think, well, one of the rewarding things I find since I've kind of, I mean, honestly, it's just for me, for only in the last 2 or 3 years have I kind of gotten back into horror genre, and I'm, writing things, and I've got, projects in the works, but I really like meeting people and kind of engaging with the independent productions from the ground up when they're just kind of starting out, because then you kind of get swept up, I guess, in this wave of the can-do attitude, and it's not about money. It's about just wanting to write a great story, and wanting to. People just want to go out in the middle of the night and come home at 3 in the morning covered with fake blood and stuff like that. Like it's the can-do attitude, and I just think that horror kind of lends itself to that, because not everybody can go out and make $1 billion Avatar movie like James Cameron. It's like I just really subscribe to the idea of I think a lot of people come to Los Angeles at first because of the reputation and the glitz and the glamour and things that they grew up watching. And then the people who I think can make it work and stay are the people that just want to make something. They want to be a part of a community. And I think you maybe have even worked with or know some people I've worked with, like Jennifer Nango.
Yep, we shot. We did we did a religious theme horror photo shoot, not as Queen Malvolia, just as Jennifer. I dressed her as kind of like an influencer, and then we did a stigmata on her. So she's got holes in her hands, and she's got all the wounds of Christ on her, and she's floating on the street in Burbank. So,
that's awesome. I mean, she's down for anything. And one of the best things I can say about her is, of all the people I've met that came out of like the pandemic, where we were all kind of like, let's work on something. What can we work on from home? She was one of the people, her and Raina Velarde, where I feel like they're both such go-getters.
Yep, I've shot with Raina.
Yeah, Raina's awesome. Can you believe she's a professional wrestler now?
She was my devil demon in the calendar this year, and she is so willing to do it. Like, I showed up at her house, she was like, I have this outfit, this outfit, this outfit. We can do that. I can put on some horns. And then I was like, oh, I brought fake blood. She's like, no, it's fine. She's got like a bucket of fake blood in the garage. And she had lighting already set up when I showed up. Like, she was ready to shoot. Like, she was down. And then we got her like a bunch of blood on her, and she didn't care. I was like, okay.
Because you know what, it all washes off. That's what showers are for. So.
Yeah, and in San Diego, I shoot a lot with Jamie Farding. She's a small short filmmaker, and she does music videos for Black Vermilion mostly, and a few others. But like, at one point, she told me we're about to tear down the bathroom. I was like, are you serious? We can make a mess. So she did my Elizabeth Battery. So she was standing in the shower, and we cropped accordingly because we don't want to get killed online. But her husband was out of frame, pouring with a measuring cup fake blood over her head, and it was just like,
that's love, folks. That's love right there. Like, I love you, but I really love you if I'm willing to not be in the frame or be a part of it and pour the fake blood.
Yeah, he was just pouring fake blood by the measuring cup full on her head, and it's just coming down.
And she's just like, I love you. I know.
I took her into the ocean. We did a mermaid, like all kinds of things, because me and her work well together. And since she's a filmmaker, she has all the lighting already set up when I show up. Save me some time right there. And yeah, I've shot with her. I've shot a witch. She has a full-size coffin in her living room, so we can shoot in that. And
that's so great.
We've got more coming, but it's a more complex one that I'm working on. So the costume is taking me forever, because I also make my wardrobe sometimes. because there's nothing like pool noodles and fabric.
Right. I was just thinking, someone I'm working with, or we're gonna start hopefully working on a project later this summer, is Sarah Schultz. Have you heard of her?
I
She and
don't
her
know her.
husband have a production company in Arizona called Mort House Films, as in like mortuary. And she's worked with Jen, she's worked with Raina. She's definitely like an up and coming actress, but she's also kind of getting more into like the producing and putting like short films together, which is like what we're gonna do later this year. But yeah, I other than the distance, because it's a state away, I should reach out to her and see if she needs some new photos or something. She's a horror film actress.
Yeah,
She's done lots of
yeah,
horror stuff. So, and they make films. So, and
yeah.
whatever, plus that helps you because that gets you into like you as a product and your photography into another state. So,
Yeah, it's not as much a problem of getting into other states. It's in terms of shooting in other states is the expense of doing it that becomes, especially with the price of gas right now.
well, yeah, I mean,
Like just
you could
Vegas
talk
has
to
been
her and if they
eliminated.
wanted to come to you, or I mean, that's
Yeah.
between you guys. But what I think about when I think about stuff like that is it's like that old Pizza Hut commercial where the girl says like, yeah, and it's the discount right now, and then they'll tell two friends, and then they'll tell two friends, and then they'll tell two friends.
Yeah.
So it's not, I mean, we know the internet is lightning fast, but there's always going to be people there to help out, to talk to, and they're going to know other people. And that's just the way the business works. But okay, so I'll bite. I'm curious. Tell me about the Agent of Chaos stuff. I know that you're probably half joking about that, but I don't know if you were like,
It's
at
kind
night
of
I go out dressed like the Joker. I don't know.
no, it's more like I have my photo assistant Charlotte that we go do random stuff. We didn't do as much during the pandemic because I have a weak immune system and her fiance does too, so we didn't go very far. The advantage of photo shoots is that it's not a big set. It's like me, one person, and the model. So it's like there's three of us. If two of us behind the camera are wearing masks, we're doing fine. And I don't need to be like up in your face to take a picture. It's called a Zoom. We're good. But we did a lot of photo shoots like that where we just randomly I have a team for the photo shoot. I know what we're doing, and it's chaotic because you never know when someone's going to say yes and how much of a lead time you're going to have for your photo shoot. So like for Nick, when we shot The Big Bad Wolf, I was supposed to shoot it with him in LA with two models in LA, the girls that were going to be the Little Red Riding Hoods. And I was supposed to have something like 6 weeks to prepare. I was like, that's fine. I have time to order clothes online because the man is 6'7". It's hard to dress him a little bit. So, and then last minute he calls me and he's like, so I'm leaving to set next week. And I was like, okay. So he's like, I'm like, when are you free? He's like, Monday. So I had 6 days to do everything. And that's where like the chaos happens and we make it all work. Like found t-shirts at Target, got a vest online, got the mask at Halloween Town in Burbank. Like it was like, okay, we're doing this. And then like he provided his own pants and boots because at that point I was giving up on finding him clothes. Because like, dude, you have black pants. He's like, yeah. So it's like, okay, we're doing that. And then my models dropped out because the date had changed and they couldn't do it, the girls. So I found two girls last minute and an assistant that was a different assistant last minute. Jamie stepped in. She brought a girl with her. She brought weapons because she's part of this group that does war at Potrero. And like, she has all these fake weapons. So she brought weapons. And then I found another model who does some burlesque type of stuff. And I brought her in because she was willing to wear whatever. And we just shot that. But like, it's the chaos of these things because we'll randomly be like, hey, there's a convention in LA this weekend, you want to go? And we go, and once we get there, like Charlotte will try anything, so I push her to do whatever so I can take pictures. And we're just like, oh, there's this event over here, like let's just go. Or I've got nothing planned on Saturday, I'm just gonna go shoot at Salton Sea and put it online, like who wants to shoot at the Salton Sea on Saturday? Like It's semi-chaotic. It's not
That, I
super
mean, to
chaos,
me, that
but
sounds
it's
fascinating, you know, to
pick
be
up
able to do
random
that.
ideas whenever, wherever. If the gas wasn't this expensive, like when something's happening in Vegas, it's like, hey, you want to go see that show in Vegas? Yeah, when is it? Tomorrow. I'm like, okay. Like the schedule, like I have a set schedule for my work with all my deadlines for my film reviews, the videos I write for Joe Blow. All of that stuff is scheduled, but if it's done and I have 3 days ahead of me.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but the world we live in, I mean, you can take your laptop with you.
I could, but my day job does require a certain setting, so I have to be at home
Oh,
for
okay.
it, unless I have like a stable hotel room somewhere with really good Wi-Fi. Because then I have to bring like the setup, the phone, the this, the that. It's a little much, you know. And that's the work laptop, which I don't like to take out of my house because it's not mine. But for convention work, like whatever, I'll just do it. Right now, it's a little bit more planned because we're getting into pre-Halloween season,
Right.
which
Just
means
like this jack-o'-lantern shirt I'm wearing.
exactly. But like last weekend, we had October Village in Santa Hannah, and then right now there's like a little few weeks of nothing. But then Fantasia starts on the 14th, which I do from home this year. I'm not flying to Montreal. It's just flying is not the right kind of chaos right now. And after that, I have a signing at Dark Delicacies that I'm going to because the artist Tom Cornell is coming down from Washington State, and him and his wife are like my godparents. So I'm going to that. The weekend after that is Midsummer Scream. The weekend after that is when events start overlapping. That's where insanity and chaos comes into play, because you just have to be willing to just go with the flow. So we know that I have a friend coming in from Texas. We're going to do Dragon Fest on Saturday, which is the martial arts film convention. Not film, but like martial arts, and a lot of actors are there. So it's really good for me to go to get more models. And then the next day, well, at the same time, but we're going the next day, is Day of the Dead Los Angeles. So you gotta do that one. And then like August, I haven't even looked at yet because I know there's Fright Fest, and then there's gonna be photo shoots, and like the chaos is kind of one of those like make your own fun. Don't tell me this weekend's boring. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Like, even if it's the pandemic, that's not a thing. Just get in your car and go look at stuff. Or rent some movies that you've never seen. Like tonight I have movie night with Charlotte, and the theme of tonight's movies is what were they thinking. like movies that you're like, I can't believe they spent 30 million
Oh
on
yeah,
this.
yeah. Just like in the last interview I did with Chad, and he's a documentary filmmaker, and he said he and his son will rent cheesy movies and just watch them and make fun of them. And one of the things he said was like, yeah, we're watching like the movie and it's going along, all of a sudden something happens and we go like this, and he goes, cocaine decision. And it was made in the 80s. Like he was saying that movie Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. He's like, whole movie, cocaine decision. And
I love
like,
that movie. That movie is, and you can fight me forever over it. That movie is a slasher film.
Kind of, yeah.
It is. It follows all the rules of a slasher film, but it's viewed from the point of view of the cop who's trying to make it stop.
Right.
So that's why it's not a slasher, and it's not a horror film. It's an action film. But look at it. We have a killer. We have a final girl.
Right. And if it would have been reconfigured today with the similar story, similar plot, and then told from another point of view, yeah, totally a slasher film.
For me, it's like I have an AMC pass, so that allows me to see however many movies I want a month. Almost, it's like 3 movies a week. I'm not going to see more than 12 films a month in theater, but I can't actually just say this looks like trash. I'm going. Because it's not.
Sometimes movies are just so bad they're good. There's just old like Godzilla movies from like the 60s and 70s where it's clearly a guy in a suit stepping on models, looking like he's about to trip over like dental floss for high tension wires, and you're just like, someone said yes to this.
Yeah.
Someone was like, take my money.
And during the pandemic, with a few other film reviewers, we started doing this thing that we call Bad Movie Mondays. Each one of us picks a movie and we congregate online and we watch it together and comment. And we've watched some
Shit fest, yeah.
yeah.
As I like to call them, craptacular.
Yeah, trashtastic. Yeah, my favorite one that I brought to them, I discovered at the movie theater. Like I went to see it on why not? The Hurricane Heist.
Oh,
It's
I've
a
heard of it. I
huge
haven't seen
budget
it.
film. It's a huge budget film, and in the opening sequence, these two kids and their dad are like running away from a hurricane in a truck, and the truck gets stuck, so the kids run into a random house, and the dad goes back out to get his truck, and a skull comes out of the hurricane to eat the truck.
What?
And I was like, I'm sold. I don't care how long this movie is. I need to see the whole.
Oh, you want to see a craptacular big budget movie, which I wasn't feeling good like a couple weeks ago. So I was on the couch and I was like, well, what's on Prime? And it was Moonfall.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, but that one gave me the
So
impression that
bad,
they did
like
it on
you're just
purpose.
like, what? And you have these great actors in it, and you're like, they are all wasted. Like Donald Sutherland, he's in the trailer. The part he's in the movie is only a little bit more than the trailer. Like, his agent probably got him $1 million to say a monologue, and then he was like, all right, one day I'm done.
That's the best kind of part.
Oh, it's so bad. It's
It's
so
the pay
bad.
to
But
mortgage.
believe it or not, we're running out of time. We've almost reached our time here, but I wanted to give you a few minutes to kind of talk about maybe some things that you've got coming up that you want to plug. And also, I know you've got tons of social media. So,
Well, all the social media is the same. So that's like one of those things where I took that name really early on, and then I like signed up everywhere with it just to make sure nobody else was taking it.
that's smart. That's
So,
smart. Yeah.
it's
Fast.
EMYB photo on Instagram, Twitter, although I don't tweet. You can't get me on that platform.
I
Not
do have a
anymore.
Twitter.
I never want to go. It's on Facebook. It's my website. If you had .com at the end, it's my Ko-fi account, which people can follow there. I think I set it up on Patreon, but there's nothing right now because I'm setting that back up. I'm using Ko-fi for the photography side
Okay.
and Patreon because I'm working on a book about film. And Patreon, I'm planning on setting it up so that it will force me to have something published every week.
Right.
It forces you to keep up with what you're working on because there's so much other stuff I have to work on. I write videos for Joe Blow Media Network. They're Joe Blow horror originals on YouTube, but not all of them. Some of them are mine. But if you look at the description of the video, it will tell you it's mine, but like watch all of them. The other folks are super awesome. We all do our work and our research. Right now, my most recent one is about House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, cool.
I have one about American Psycho coming out soon.
Oh, I love that movie.
Those are about the filming of it. So it's WTF Happened 2, and we talk about like how they were made and why they flopped or why they did really great. Nobody was expecting that, like that kind of stuff. And I also do some of their awfully good ones because I love a good trashy movie. So let me write about it. And the calendar, I'm starting to shoot for the 2023. Still haven't figured out who my cover model is, but I'm going to Midsummer Scream and Days of the Dead by the end of the month. So we're gonna start booking models. I have a few that are booked that I don't announce people until they're shot because stuff happens all the time.
Right.
But if you watch the Instagram, we post pictures. They're gonna go on stories from now on, but we post pictures. We call them family photos, where everybody on set is in the same little selfie. And then you spot who we've got shooting with us in those selfies. So that's how we had announced Tiffany Shepis, Cynthia Rothrock, Adam Green. That's how we announced them, with a little weird selfie of us looking a little tired and like zombies. I've got that calendar coming up that's going to be pre-selling through Indiegogo like I do every year.
Okay, great. I have to cut you off
So
here
much.
because it's about to cut you off. I don't want it to be like in the middle of a sentence and cut you off. But Thank you so much for being on the show. I look forward to the calendar, and best of luck with everything. You've got a full plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, have a great rest of your weekend.